Hi, this is Rachelle with Scrapcraftastic, and a little while ago I did a video that was time-lapse showing how I prep files to print and cut when I get digital files and downloads from online shops. And I had a few requests asking for me to do a slower version and give more information on how to do it. So here I am in Photoshop again. Have these files from CHELA Creates that I need to prep and get ready to print and cut. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Now this particular one is, I believe, in Christmas, again from CHELA Creates. And it comes in two versions, the light skin and the dark skin. So I am going to work on the dark skin version. It is already as a layer, so it's not a background. Usually PDFs do not have a background, but for some reason, the ones that I get from CHELA Creates have it. So the first thing I typically do is remove the background and remove the branding. And to do that, I use the magic wand tool and I just click in the white space. And if I'm lucky, it will just give the outline of the overall shape or graphic. And then I can just hit delete. Let me see. It looks like it might be doing something funny to Santa's hair, but maybe not. Okay, so I'm kind of just looking around, checking to make sure everything has a pretty decent outline and it looks okay. So I'm going to delete, and that's going to get rid of the white background. Now, as you can see, some objects like the wreath here still has some white in the center. Let me deselect. And this area here is still white. So you have to determine what areas you feel like it's necessary for you to remove that background as well. So definitely from the wreath. And then I can zoom in. Let's see. Um, I don't really need to remove this, but let's just do it. The smaller pieces I'm not going to do because I am going to end up putting a stroke around these. So that's how I do the offset in Photoshop. I use the stroke layer style. Okay, so I don't really want to print this branding. I don't need it. I've told you all that is from CHELA Creates, so check out CHELACreates.com. Use CHELA Creates 15 to save on your order at the time of this recording. Okay, it erased a little bit of the bag here. So I'm just going to go in with some white, draw a white shape where I think it's supposed to be. Oh, it deleted the rope as well. So I'm just going to select all of that, do another layer, and fill that box. And fill that with white. To repair that. So it looks like that until I bring it to the back, and now it looks like we have a tie around the bag. Okay, that's good enough. Hopefully it didn't take away anything else that we need. And probably when I added the stroke, it would have repaired that, but let's just assume that it would not have. Okay, let's add the stroke. So all of these pieces, well, no, I need to delete this part here too. So let's go to this display. And get rid of some of the white space here. It looks like something's in the background there, but I can't tell what that was. Okay, I'm probably deleting way more than I need to. Okay, so I've pretty much checked most of the graphics, I think. So with the main graphic selected, which is everything. I'm going to go to layers, layer style, stroke. And you have to determine how much of a stroke you want to use, but you can see with the red there what it does. I'm going to change the color to white because we want a white offset, and then I'm just going to reduce the size. Usually I do 6 or 8. I'm going to stick with 6 this time and say okay. Now, a way to check and see what your stroke will look like is, I think I need to take the white out of the handle of this mug too. Yeah. Um, and if you miss deleting some of the white space, like I missed deleting the space between his boots, when you select it after you added the stroke, it will automatically place the stroke when you delete this. So right now you can't see that there's a stroke there, but when I delete that white space, the stroke shows up. So if you want to see where your stroke is, this is what I do. I create a new layer. So we got a new layer there, and I put it on the bottom so that it will be behind everything. And then I do, I don't know why this is not working right. Edit, fill, black. And it fills everything with black on that layer. Then I can go through and look and see if my strokes are the way that I want them to look. And what you see here without the black is how it is going to print and cut. So I see one issue that needs to be taken care of, and that's the I believe. Not sure how I'm going to fix that one. Okay, so the text is usually the problem. If it's standalone text, I usually put a larger stroke on it so that all the alpha or all the script or whatever it is can be grouped together. Usually I don't have this situation where there's text and the graphics, so I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do with that one. But for Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, I can show you what I do. I use the poly lasso tool and just kind of go around it, and then make sure I'm on the layer where that text is, and I cut. So I cut it out, and then I paste it back in place. So this is what it looks like. And when I paste it back, I may be able to change this in my preferences, but when I paste it back, it does not have the stroke. So I can just copy the stroke from another layer. So copy layer style, and then paste layer style. Oops. And then I can change the thickness of the stroke, and that will help me group that whole quote together. Usually I kind of just eyeball this and look for a point where everything is mostly grouped together. So that's where this is, and it winds up being 27 pixels. That's fine. And if I zoom in, you can see here I'll have empty space here and here, but that's fine. Okay. So that is done, and I just kind of make sure that it's not touching anything else. Now for this one, I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's see if I lasso it, just this part, and try to just minimally touch the actual graphic and take the text off. So copy, deselect, and let's paste in place. So if I hide Santa and all the other graphics, you can see where I pasted that one piece in place. So now the piece that I pasted, I'm going to move it to the back and go ahead and paste the stroke on that. So now this is what it looks like. Then I'm just going to increase the stroke and see if I can get away with this. Yep, that's going to work. Okay. So I'm going to put it Leave it at 18, okay? So basically, that's what it looks like. So what I did was cut out the piece where the text was pretty much standalone as much as I tried to get it as close to the text as possible. I could have done it more precisely, but it was unnecessary. And then I copied and pasted underneath the original layer, which is here. So this is the original. I pasted it underneath. That's the piece. And then I added the strokes so that it would all be grouped together. Put the original graphic back up, and there we go. Okay, so it looks like everything is good and ready to print and cut. So I am going to remove the black background, save my work, which I should have done already, but I didn't. And then I shall export it as a PNG file. And then I'll go over, let's see. I have something going on here in Silhouette, but I'm using Silhouette Studio to cut it this time. So I'm going to go open that PNG file, which is here. So as you can see, it's automatically too big when I open it. Also, my artboard is in the wrong orientation. So I'm going to change that first to a landscape. Then I don't usually do this. I'm going to go back to Photoshop though and see what the size of these graphics are without the white background. That makes sense. So I just did a full select of everything on the canvas in that first layer. Then I'm going to check the info. Where's my info pane window? Info. And it says it's 10.55 inches wide. So let's go with that. So I'm just going to select the graphic here in Silhouette. Go up here, make sure that the lock is closed, and do my width at 10.55. Also, if you see this triangle here, you know that the graphic is at low resolution. That's because it automatically stretched it out. So we are, by figuring out what size it should be, we're putting it back to the high resolution state, which is where you get a crisper, cleaner image. If I were to print this now at this low resolution, it would be blurry and pixelated. It may not look like it on the screen, but once it's printed, it would be blurry. So if you see this, you know you need to do some type of adjustment. Let's go on with the 1055. And it disappeared. So all I could do is go here to center to page, and it pulls it back in. So as you can see, we know with Silhouette Studio, or maybe you don't, it doesn't print all the way to the edge. You can't cut all the way to the edge. It has limitations, and the printer that I use has even more limitations. So I'm going to expand the print area just a little bit on 3 sides. So usually it's at 0.625. I'm putting it to 0.394, except for the right side because my printer has a larger margin on that in that area. I don't know why, but if I do that, then it will cut off the cut marks when it prints. So that gives me a little more space. But even though this is the file size that was intended, it does not fit in the live area, I guess you would call it. It needs to fit within these red lines and avoid these hashed boxes in the corner. So I'm going to have to reduce this a little bit. So I'm just going to hold my shift key and drag to make sure I'm away from that corner box. I really don't want it to be much smaller. There's a way I could get around this. I could probably split this in half and just do half and half. But for this video, I won't do that. I'll just shrink it. So that's out of the way. Now we gotta get the truck out of the way. Okay. Let's keep it over here. So now it is ready to print. Let me save it as Silhouette Studio. Now let's print. These I think would look excellent on clear paper also, but I'm going to print on regular sticker paper, and I will link to the sticker paper that I use in the description box below. So I clicked print in the top bar here. Now it's asking me to print again. Yes. So I'm going up here to make sure I have the correct printer selected, and I'm going to change the preferences or check the preferences. So it says plain paper and print quality best. I like to do the best quality when I print these. So I don't really worry about ink too much because I have the HP Instant Ink. And if you're interested in that, I do have a link in the description box below. So let's print. So the file has printed. Now I'm going to get it ready to cut. So I'm going to go over here to send. And this kind of tells the story if everything is as it should be. This is a little intricate here. Probably could have done something about this where it won't cut that, but I'm not going to worry about it. This is a little close here, but maybe it just looks that way because I'm zoomed out. Nope, it is touching. So these two are going to be stuck together. It's not a big deal here, but you have to kind of be careful of things like that. There's this little space here. So you can see all the little imperfections if you miss them. There's nothing that major here that I think I need to change. But I do notice here, like some of these places where I deleted the white background, I probably didn't need to. So it was just a little overkill, I think, but we'll be fine. Okay, so I make sure that everything is, I'm just using the simple option here because there's no layering, there's no extra stuff. So I can get away with just using simple. I'm using sticker paper white. I need to change it from sketch to cut. And then I need to go down to 10, I think, because 14 cuts through my paper. All right, so now I need to go and grab my machine, hook it up to my laptop, and we will cut. Okay, so I have placed the sticker sheet on, or the printed sheet on the mat. This mat has seen better days, but as you can see, it looks pretty beat up. But I put it in the top left corner on the end with the arrow pointing up. So now I'm going to open my machine here and put it in the machine. And it's kind of hard to do this with one hand. Let's see. And I'm pretty sure if you have a Silhouette and you've been using it, you know how to do all of this. So let me get it in the machine and then I'll explain what I did. Okay, so I lined up the edge with those arrows that you see there. And then I used the load cut mat command and it is ready to go. So next I will just go back to Silhouette Studio and hit send. So what it's doing now is reading those black marks in the corners. That's why it was important not to have anything in that area so that the machine can read, so loud, so that the machine could read those marks. Okay, so it doesn't like how I have that loaded. So I'm going to have to reload this. What I changed is, instead of having the paper up against those arrows, I put the mat up against those arrows. Sometimes, depending on what I'm cutting, I have to put it to the arrows. Sometimes I have to do it this way. So hopefully this time it will read the marks and start doing what it's supposed to do, which is cut the stickers out. Alright, so once this is done cutting, I will show you the finished stickers. I don't think we want to wait for it to finish cutting because of the noise, so I'll be back. Here is the printed and cut version of the sheet from CHELA Creates. Again, all of CHELA Creates information will be in the description box below. So you can see these are cut. And I will be using them in an upcoming layout. Let's see, let's get one that doesn't have so much detail on it. So, there we go. So, that is cut. So that is how you can prep a file that is not specifically ready to print and cut with a digital cutting machine. That is how I prep it in Photoshop and add the offset. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you may be interested in this other video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.